Hello, guys, and welcome to the Draft Order, a series of sports takes brought to you by your host, me, Robert Jenkins. Hi, guys. Welcome to episode number 1 of the Draft Order. This is a new series where we're going to be going over the world of sports, just going into every topic, big games, sports betting, fantasy sports, everything. And on this week's show, we're going to be covering the NFL, the Wildcard weekend that we just went through this past weekend. These games are really good, man. Every game had me on the edge of my seat. I mean, we had 5 games that were one-score games of this weekend. And then the one that's not is that Chargers-Patriots game, which feels like a one-score game all throughout because it's so low scoring, ending 3-16. But we're going to get into that more as we go on. I'm going to break down each game and just give you my takes on them. So let's start off with the first game of the weekend. The Los Angeles Rams versus the Carolina Panthers. The Rams win 34-31 with a touchdown to Colby Parkinson in the penultimate drive of this game. I mean, there's not a lot more to be said about Matthew Stafford in that final drive. It was phenomenal. They really worked the Panthers down the field to complete this all. But I think the story of this game is really Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua was all over this game. I mean, he had 10 catches for 111 yards, I believe 2 touchdowns in this game. He's really been the engine of this offense for the Rams, and that was not more prevalent than today or the Sunday, I guess. Yeah, and it's funny. I was talking to a buddy, and he sent me this video. People on the internet saying that Puka Nacua can't beat man coverage, which when I saw it, I thought that's absolutely ridiculous. Like, he's obviously beating man coverage. He's one of the best wide receivers in the game, and you could not. If you don't believe that he can beat man coverage, you just need to turn back the game on and look at that first touchdown he scored. I mean, the dude comes in playing in as a running back and looks the safety dead in the eye, man coverage, stays lined up, and he just runs straight past him. Dude's got maybe 5 yards steps ahead of Puka Nacua, and he still can't cover him. People may be getting confused because of Sean McVay's scheme. He does look like he's just in all these wide open holes, so maybe they think that every team's playing zone against the Rams, which I don't know why the Panthers did that. That last drive, they did a lot of zone, and Stafford and them was just carving that up. And yeah, I guess that's a great segue to the other team in this matchup. We got the Carolina Panthers. I really do like the outlook for the Carolina Panthers moving forward. I mean, you got Bryce Young. They're picking him up on their 5th-year option. He has looked good of late. This season has really impressed me, and he's getting better year after year. So you gotta like your progress in your draft pick, someone that you took in first overall in the draft. And with that rookie deal, he's going to be cheaper than most of the quarterbacks in the NFC South. And with how open the division is, you can really look for the Panthers to build around Bryce Young for the future, because that was really clear in this matchup. There's just not enough offensive talent on the Panthers right now. I mean, Jalen Coker has a breakout game, phenomenal. Truly, hats off to him. Great playoff game for him. But he's not someone that you can rely on week after week. I mean, he has 33 catches on the season. Leggett has 30 as well. Those are tight end numbers. And those are supposed to be his second and third option on his offense, because they don't even have a really true dominant tight end as well. So they're going to need somebody to bring some people in to help Ted McMillan and overall help Bryce Young with his growth. But the defense was solid this year. I think they can hold their head high about this playoff game. and making it to the playoffs. I know it's been a couple of years for the Panthers now. And then you walk back into the next year in a wide open NFC South, as I said before, and it's anybody's game. You can really be looking to win that. Which brings us to I'm going to go into our next game. It's going to be the Packers versus the Bears. The Bears win this game 31-27 with a massive 25-point fourth quarter. Truly phenomenal what we saw in this game. The Chicago Bears keep owning up to their name of the Heart Attack Bears. You got to give, and not a lot of people are going to be talking about them, but you got to give a lot of credit to that defense. I mean, they only allow one score in the second half, which honestly, that's it doesn't matter how good, Caleb and them got better in the second half. If they would have allowed them to score, this would have been all for naught. They were up 21-3 in this game. But that offense the defense really held them in this game, and allowed the Bears offense to get hot. And that was of no thanks to Ben Johnson in this game, who I really think did a terrible coaching job, just being over aggressive. I understand he's got the Lions roots, so he wants to follow those tendencies, but you really didn't need to go for it on 4th and 5 on your own 32. I mean, when you got a quarterback like Caleb Williams, who tends to be streaky, we've all seen the numbers, his completion percentages are in the sub 60s, sometimes 50s. I think it was 50% for this game. Let me see here. Yeah, 50% on the nose. 24 for 48, 361, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That's the definition of streaky. So I just think they didn't need to be as aggressive in this game. I mean, at that point in this game, they were only down 1 touchdown, but then you go for it, you don't get it. They go back, score again, and this game starts to look like it's getting out of hand. But you gotta give it off to the Bears. I mean, yeah, a lot of teams would have just packed it in right there. Start looking at their Cancun plants. And the loser of this game, Green Bay Packers. I picked the Bears to win this game. I just thought that there was just too much going against the Packers to end this season. They were really limping into these playoffs. I think it's a shame that they're losing in their first game in the playoffs this year, because I think they're probably going to make some changes in Green Bay. We've already heard about Matt LaFleur. It's possibly that he could be gone. They're talking trades for Matt LaFleur. We can see another a coaching trade in the NFL. That would be truly amazing to see. But all of this is all the early loss and early exit is just taken away from, which is what I think is a really good team in Green Bay. That team's really built solid. They got a solid defense. Defense coaching staff is great. I believe in Matt LaFleur as a coach. Jordan Love has been. I mean, he's top 10. He's definitely a top 10 quarterback. And then you have a playmaker like Micah Parsons. They could do for another receiver, just like another elite talent. They got a bunch of B guys right now. I would love to see them with one A. But it's a really good roster, and they might blow this whole thing up off of a couple bad results, which is truly a shame. So, yeah, and then we got to the AFC half of the weekend with the Bills versus the Jaguars. Bills went 27-24. Story of this game is Josh Allen's the superhero for the Bills. It just seemed like anytime that they needed a scoring drive, Josh Allen goes out there, throws a 30-yard chunk play, and then we get into touch-push situations. Like that fourth quarter, what was that, like a 15-yard QB sneak? It's absolutely insane. I mean, I question if they should be calling forward progress on some of these plays. Things are getting a little out of hand with the Eagles touch-push, and now the Bills. But I digress, that's how we call it on the field. And for the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, he played well, but at the end of the day, turnovers were going to get you. That one turn, he threw. Second turnover, you don't kill him for. He's just trying to get a final drive with 12 seconds left in the game, so you're pressing anyway. But the first interception, it leads to a field goal because they get the ball in your half. 3 points turns out to be the difference of the game. And there's no losing to the Bills is nothing to sneeze at. It was a good year by Trevor Lawrence. Liam Cohen, definitely a good hire by the Jags. That offense was humming this year. They had some really good spots. Then we get into the hometown team. I'm a Colts fan, but out here in the Bay. 49ers versus the Eagles. This one was a tight one. 23-19. And what a game that seemed like it could go either way. You gotta really shout out to Robert Saleh and that 49ers defense. They really had a bend, don't break mentality all game. Saquon Barkley honestly shows up. After the season that he's had, I didn't think that was going to be, that he was going to be such a big part of their offense for their playoffs. But he goes for 26 carries, 106 yards. Eagles are average about 4.5 yards a carry once you take away just like some Dallas Goedert runs or something out here. So they had the running game working, but time after time, that 49ers defense held them to field goals. And that turned out to be the difference in the game. The 49ers were just able to get a couple more scoring drives. It's funny to say that, yeah. Score more points than the other team, you win the game. Let's go down to Boston. Talk about the Patriots. They won 16-3. Oh snap! I'm sorry. How could I get off that game before I talk about the Eagles? Let's rewind that back. Eagles side. I don't know what they're going to do, but something has to be done about A.J. Brown. I don't think you can trade him. But there's no way that you can have a season in which every week the leading story about the Eagles is how bad this offense is, and A.J. Brown is unsatisfied. We're worried if the coach is drawing up touchdown plays when they should be trying to run out the clock in games against like the Packers to keep him happy. And on the biggest moment, biggest stage in the playoffs, he's out here dropping balls. Like, what are you doing? That one, I forget when it happened, but it would have changed the game. Catch that ball, he's wide open. He's got space all around. He probably can take it to the house. Maybe he doesn't take it to the house, but it's a big chunk. It's at least a 30-yard play, and he's running before he secures the ball. Overall, the Eagles offense and their defense is just too good for what we've seen from them this year. They were pretty average as a title defender, as a Super Bowl champ. I think next year they probably come back even stronger. There'll be a second year. Oh wait, I think what are they doing with Kevin Patula? Okay, so he's got fired. So another OC for Jalen Hurts. I mean, Nick Sirianni, he replaces him like no other. But so we'll see. Another OC for Jalen Hurts. I mean, it can't get any worse from how their offense was this year. Now let's get to the Pats and the Chargers. Patriots win 16-3 over the Chargers. Congratulations to the Patriots. You're moving on to the next round. But there's honestly nothing really good to say coming out of that game about the Patriots. This game is truly about how much Justin Herbert sucks in the playoffs. I'm sorry. We're talking about a multiple year vet. He's on people's top 5 lists every offseason. Most of the times he's in the top 3s of people's lists. You can't go out and yet again lay a donut in the playoffs. He goes 19 for 31, 159 yards. Gets sacked 6 times. And yes, the Chargers O-line, Joe Alt was out. I understand there's problems and issues. But you just got to do better at this time. At some point, he's got to earn the hype that he has. And I like Justin Herbert. I'm a Justin Herbert guy. But it's time to start moving him into more the 10s than where he's regarded right now. And the last game of the playoff weekend, we have the Texans versus Steelers. Texans blow them out 30-6 in a game that really doesn't feel like a blowout because that score gap is mostly a crazy fourth quarter by that Texans defense. And if it wasn't for the Denver Broncos, who are on bye this week, the Texans probably have the best unit in football behind that defense. They get an interception and a fumble recovery for a touchdown, blowing that lead wide open in the fourth, putting the Steelers away. This game probably marks the end of the Aaron Rodgers career, with Mike Tomlin stepping down, and we'll get more into that at the rest of the show. With him stepping down, I can't see how the next coach is going to sign on to Aaron Rodgers as their new coach. It's not something they're trying to hitch their ride to. And I really don't see how... I don't really see any other teams that could be interested this offseason. I mean, maybe as another stopgap. But Aaron Rodgers and Joe Flacco, you're getting a lot of media attention with an Aaron Rodgers. It's like picking up a Cam Newton or a Tim Tebow. So, but there's so many great things to be said about Aaron Rodgers. I mean, on the field, sometimes off the field, he's been a nut, but definitely a Hall of Famer. It's crazy that he only won one Super Bowl with how good he was at the peak of his powers. But hey, 4 MVPs, 4 All-Pros. It was a good one. Maybe stay off the Osawas or whatever it is. I was going to say ashwagandha, but no, that's not it. Oh, man. So that wraps up our Wildcard weekend review. Let's take a quick break and let's get back with our head coaching discussions. Welcome back to Draft Order. So next we're going to break down the 8 NFL head coaching openings and rank them from worst to the best job in football. It's crazy that there are 8 teams that need a head coach. And that's not even including the fact that John Harbaugh just got hired at the Giants. That we're going to talk about later. But first, let's rank these teams. I'm going to start off at the bottom here. The worst job in football. Miami Dolphins, coming in at number 8. This is just a team where I can't find a single upside to taking this job. I mean, you got a team that is in cap hell. They're sitting at negative $8 million going into this offseason. And there's not too much how you're going to cut that off. I mean, you got Tyreek Hill that's on a big contract that you're still going to have to pay. Who knows? I mean, he's got injured. Hopefully he comes back. But is he going to be the same? He's already old. He's already been talking about retiring and not playing, late into his life. So, you got to even see if he wants to play. And then you have, obviously, the elephant in the room. Tua. Tua's done. There's no more juice that can be coming out of Tua. Mike Daniels did a phenomenal job creating an offense that catered to his needs, and he looked like a Pro Bowler for the times that it did work. But as he got hit and the concussion problems keep arising, it's just not you can't move forward with Tua. They can't keep going on with him. I don't even think he has any trade value at this point. So it's really nothing to do. Whoever takes this job, the owners have to understand this is going to be a process. They're probably looking at a year or two just to unload these bad contracts, get the draft capital in the door, and fix this team around. But this is a complete rebuild down in Miami. And this next team would be the worst job by far if the Dolphins did exist. Because it's also another one where I don't see any upside. I know a lot of people are probably going to disagree with this one. But at number 7, I have the Falcons. I don't believe in Michael Penix Jr. I think that was a flop of a draft pick. Your backup is Kirk Cousins, who you've paid a lot of money to. So you don't even really get the benefit of the young rookie quarterback, because you're just, which savings you are getting on Michael Penix being a first-round pick, you're using to cover Kirk Cousins' salary. And after a year of him being on the team, I'm pretty sure there's no trade value for Kirk Cousins right now. So that they're going to walk into another year with that setup. And then I know we all love Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson. It looks like that offense should be one of the best in the league. But honestly, at this point, we got to start looking at the numbers. It hasn't been. Bijan's been phenomenal, but Kyle Pitts been spotty. I mean, honestly, not even spotty. We saw one spotting. We saw a spotting. He's like Bigfoot. Drake London's phenomenal, but it's a lot of empty calories at this point. It's not a team that can win games. The defense, they brung in a defensive head coach, and the defense didn't look that much better. And then lastly, they just fired Raheem Morris, who they brought in a year ago. And this is a team that, hated at 8 or 9 or not, that was tied for winning the NFC South. Ultimately, you don't get it on the tiebreakers. But he was up to par. In his first year, he was up to par with his division. I mean, I understand that they now bring in Matt Ryan, new GM, to head the show. So maybe it's just a situation where let's give him Raheem Morris first year. It's about a C. And maybe when you're bringing in a new guy, a C, you're fired. Just to start off new fresh. But either way, it shows instability to whoever they're going to be looking at next. They've already proven that they can move off a guy with average results. So they're looking for somebody to come in there and make some real noise. And I just don't know if they have the roster for that. Like, there's a little delusion there. And number 6 is going to be the Cleveland Browns. And this one surprises even me. Because if I took away the name or the helmet and I told you, hey, I got a team that has a project of a quarterback that has shown glimpses at, on a 5th round rookie deal. I got a phenomenal defense. Oh, and then in the draft, you got a top 10 pick and another first rounder at the back end. In any other circumstance, that is the best opening. Who wouldn't take that? But we're talking about the Cleveland Browns. We're talking about the Cleveland Browns, who in the time since Mike Tomlin took over the Steelers, has had 35 quarterbacks and 9 head coaches. It's instability. It is instability. Finding in the dictionary is right next to the Cleveland Browns. Dysfunction, Cleveland Browns. So that's why a team that seems to have all the assets is sitting at the 3rd best job, or the 3rd worst job. And for number 5, I'm going to be taking the Raiders. I mean, they have the pinnacle of off-season assets, the number 1 pick in this year's draft. We can probably, Dante Moore's going back, so we can really pencil in Mendoza into that slot. So I'm not even going to say they have the number 1 pick. I'm just going to pretend like this team has Mendoza right now. Is it too early to say? Nah, I don't think so. But yeah, so number 5, the Raiders. They have the number 1 pick, Mendoza. You're walking in with $110 million in salary cap space. That's the 2nd of any job that is available. And the team has a couple studs. Max Crosby's stud on that defense. Genty was used terrible under Chip Kelly. And even, it got a little better, but I don't know the name of the new offensive coordinator for the Raiders, but I think there's a lot. There's an offense that it's a much better use for Genty that could be brought in for this Raiders squad. At number 4, I'm going to be taking the Cardinals. I think this is one of the better jobs in the NFL right now. You get a top 5 pick, 103. They got the 103 and the 202 in the first 2 rounds. I know everybody wants to jump on Kyler right now that he's washed and done, but Kyler has always kept the Cardinals afloat. They've never had any too many dropping seasons. Let me look it up before I put my foot in the mouth. Kyler Murray. Man, okay, I was say it should be an easier way to look this up. Okay, so rookie year, he's 5-10-1. Then he goes 8-8, 9-5. Okay, sorry, 2022, 2023. I forgot about those years. 3-8 and 3-5. That is kind of questionable. But he comes back with an 8-9 season, which is. Anyway, obviously, it's a reason why we're talking about Kyler Murray in this light. He's not perfect. But I think he of all the openings that are available, the Cardinals are the only team that have a stopgap in place on their roster. And Kyler Murray may have a little trade juice. So you take this job, you're walking in, you can say, I can draft a guy at 103. He doesn't have to be ready to start right away. Run Kyler back out there. Make him a system that's a little friendly for him. And getting back on track of, that 2021 season. His best year, 9-5. And I think that's appealing. They're sitting at third in cap space as far as teams that are available. And I'm sure there's a couple players they can cut. If you trade Kyler Murray, how does that help their cap space? I think that NFL trading in their cap is weird, but I think there's a lot of options for someone to come into this job and have middle-level results. This isn't a team that's on the bottom of the league. So now we're getting into the top 3 here. 3 job openings left. And the bronze goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. One of the later openings of this window, Mike Tomlin leaves the Steelers after nearly 2 decades at the helm there. So 19 years. 19 years. We have seen Tomlin be the coach of the Steelers. It's crazy to think that. Since I was 11. But yeah, I really like this job. I like this opening for someone. I think they have $65 million in cap space, which actually I did my cap space spreadsheet before the Steelers jobs opening, so I think that actually would make them second. Or no. There's teams with much more. But they have a decent amount of cap space. And then the thing that is the bonus with this job is that you're obviously going to get stability. As I said, Tomlin was the coach for 19 years, and all those years were not the prettiest. There's a lot of 8-8 seasons in there, which tells me that the Rooney family down in Pittsburgh is willing to get behind a coach, let them develop their squad, and see how the results play out over a number of years, which is not something that can be said about not only NFL jobs, but look at soccer. Enzo Maresca gets fired at Chelsea after winning the Club World Cup and the Conference League. Stability is not something you see in pro sports these days. And then you get a blank slate on this roster. Your quarterback's not in place. You can go get one. They have good draft capital. It's not, obviously, they're a playoff team. Sitting at 21st right now. But you got your pick. A lot of teams in the Steelers position are overreacting, selling their first-round picks just to get into the dance. A la the Colts. No first. And the silver medal goes to the Titans. This job is very interesting. Obviously, you start off number 1. What everybody wants is a quarterback. We got Cam Ward, who looked really good. He didn't look really good, but he showed that he definitely can play in his first year. Didn't make too many mistakes. You expect, young quarterbacks to come in, throw a lot of picks and struggle. But honestly, the biggest struggle for him was the fact that he was on the Titans, who just does not have much talent anywhere on that roster. Yeah, I really like this player. I mean, I saw him live, Miami versus Cal, and all I could say is, as I watched him play, is he plays like Le'Veon Bell at quarterback. When you were watching Le'Veon Bell when he was hitting that, he didn't hit the hole fast. He kind of just tiptoed, waited for his moment. He makes the game look slow. I think he has a lot of upside. And then when you couple that with the cap space that they have, $114 million to spend, and then you're also going to get another top 5 pick. You have the 104 and the 203 in the first 2 rounds. I honestly, I can't believe this job is still open, to be honest. And if you can keep a list, the gold medal goes to the Ravens. This has been a list where I'm talking a lot about draft capital, how much cap space people have, But for this job, none of that even matters. I mean, they're not bad. They're not negatives to the case here. They got the 114 in the first round this year, $36 million in cap space. But you have Lamar Jackson, and there's not any combination of assets of cap space and draft that can be more valuable than having a multiple time MVP in Lamar Jackson on your squad. I also think you get the stability factor that I talked about with the Pittsburgh Steelers, with the Ravens. They're another team. John Harbaugh was just there for 18 years. So, whoever walks into this job is obviously in win now mode at the very get-go. I mean, you got Lamar Jackson. There's no time for rebuild years. But you got a good offense. Derrick Henry could probably run it back for another year and play at a high level. Zay Flowers is a great receiver. You got 2 serviceable tight ends in Likely and Mark Andrews. Next year, they really need to see Likely or Lively move up and be that number 1 tight end with maybe some sets for Mark Andrews. And the defense has pieces, but they can also go and attack that defense in the draft this year to retool. This is a job where someone can take it and find themselves in the Super Bowl in 2 years. Shoot, next February. So that wraps up my list for the NFL head coaching jobs. And that's going to segue to talk about one of the openings that I had ranked pretty middle in the pack. So I'm a little worried about that he took this. We're going to talk about John Harbaugh to the Giants up next. Hello, guys, and welcome back to the draft order. Okay, so yeah, the major news of the last maybe 48 hours, John Harbaugh has agreed to terms to be the next head coach of the New York Giants. This one is something that's come very much as a surprise to me. I look at the Giants, I look at their roster, what they had in picks and salary cap, and I thought this was a mid-tier job as far as the jobs that were available. He was the number 1 coach in the cycle on a 9-job cycle. I didn't think that the Giants were going to be at the top of his list. But as I prepared more for this show and I started talking it through, I actually began to understand why exactly this is the perfect fit for him to land. And this might be an A+ slam dunk hire for both coach and team. So, first we have to start off thinking about John Harbaugh. He's a guy that just was at the Ravens for 18 years. Getting up there in age. So whichever team was not going to be one of these project teams. He needed a team that was in win-now mode. And you're probably sitting there thinking, well, the Giants, they're going to be picking 5th in this draft. They went 4-13. But I think that was just simply Brian Daboll getting outcoached and mismanaging this team. The fact that Jameis Winston got no extended run on this team, when at this point in their career, him and Russell have been right up here, neck and neck. The love for Russell and then the dumping of Russell to the point where you got Jackson Dart in the game getting a concussion and you trying to pull him from the medical tent because you can't see Russ do a snap. But that was your guy 5 weeks ago. But looking at that Giants defense, I was a firm believer of the Giants at the beginning of the season. I thought all the QB expertise in the QB room, not expertise, the experience in the QB room, coupled with a Dart that could add some wow factor, was going to be good for them, and this is going to be a team that can make the playoffs. I think John probably sees that, but maybe I was just a year too early. But because when you look at the team, they do have a great defense. Brian Burns, Abdul Carr, who they drafted, even though he had a really bad year, bring in a defensive coach, or I know he's special teams, but he just screams defense mentality. That's because that's all we've seen for him in the Ravens. So I gotta believe that that's going to be a focus of his Giants team. And I think you get Abdul Carr back on track, and you use the rest of your assets to shore up some spots on that offense, more offensive line help, another receiver. Because Jackson Dart could be, I mean, he's obviously showing a belief in Jackson Dart, and that's going to be their day one starter next year. But this team could really be the Ravens 2.0. Scatterboo, playing defense, and it's just looking like Ray Lewis Ravens. I mean, obviously there's nobody like Ray Lewis on the Giants, so let me not get carried away. But I can see the formula. I'm starting to see it. All right, guys, that wraps out today's show here on the Draft Order by Robert Jenkins. I want to thank you for listening in. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe here on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you're getting your podcasts. And until next time, peace.